The Sumerians wrote down their history on clay tablets like these, which lay ignored in a Berlin museum for half a century. Few people have been able to decipher this ancient language, but one of them is Zechariah Sitchin.
The writings and the pictorial evidence left behind by the Sumerians going back 6,000 years speak and depict people who came from another planet called Nibiru, and many of the depictions show them much bigger, at least by a third, perhaps more than the average human being, so they were giants.
This Sumerian cylinder seal from a Berlin museum is astonishing for several reasons. First, it depicts our solar system with the sun at the center and the planets arrayed around it, a fact not known to European science till around 300 years ago. It also shows Pluto, which we didn't discover until 1930. And amazingly, there's another planet which the Sumerians called Nibiru, and believe that it was from where the Anunnaki, or celestial giants, came from. In Lebanon, 44 miles from Beirut, are the imposing ruins of Baalbek. There's mention of this place in the Old Testament's Book of Kings.
Baalbek in particular is a very good example. That has the trilithon. Those are the largest stones in the world ever used for construction. They're so large we don't even know their actual weight. Those stones were somehow quarried, moved 5 miles, lifted 25, 30 feet in the air, and placed together so closely that you can't fit a razor blade or a piece of paper in between them. We have no idea how they did it. We don't have a crane in the world that can lift weights anywhere near what those things are.
These things are the size of railway cars, and you find them in Peru and Bolivia and Mexico and ancient Egypt. You have to ask yourself, why and how could ancient people have dragged these railway car-sized blocks of stone, stacked them up together into these giant buildings?
Without a little interplanetary help, how else could the early Egyptians have learned to stack the nearly 2.5 million limestone and granite blocks that create the Great Pyramids? How could prehistoric man move the immense boulders at Stonehenge? And how could ancient builders at Cuzco fit stones so closely together that you can't even fit a razor blade in between them?
It starts in the Bible. There you can read, in the beginning at Moses, when the sons of the gods saw that the daughter of man were beauty, they took them to wife. Later, out of the body's womb, giants came.
So destructive were these titans that the Anunnaki that fathered them decided to destroy them. The apocryphal book of Baruch even tells us how many giants were wiped out.
The book of Baruch says, "Then the Lord created the great flood, destroyed all life, which then was on earth, including the 4,090,000 giants."
It seems quite clear, because of the references in Genesis and later on the book of Numbers and also in Deuteronomy, which are all fairly consistent with each other, that there were gigantic beings that seem to stem from pre-flood era.
Throughout history, giants have always been depicted as tyrants or monsters, leaving refuge in their wake. They travel from village to village, terrorizing those who dare challenge them. Was the fate of giants predestined, or did we simply outwit them? Their image would remain ominous for centuries, until 1726, when this man changed everything. Jonathan Swift, a well-known Freemason and author of one of the most reproduced writings of all time. Gulliver's Travels not only softened the image of the giant, but made him into a friend, mentor. This will transform our perception of giants for generations to come.
Gulliver's Travels, favorite story of men, women, and children in every nation of the world. Gulliver, the immortal character whose fabulous adventures in the land of the Lilliputians made him a classic of literature.
But what about this? In November of 2006, Melbourne asked visitors to use their imagination as a guide through the city.